You're listening to School Counseling Simplified, a podcast with easy-to-implement strategies for busy school counselors. Here's your host, Rachel Davis from Bright Futures Counseling.
It's back to school season. Yay! I absolutely love the start of a new school year. It reminds me of when I was a kid getting all of my school supplies at the stores, my big Lisa Frank binders and all of that fun stuff. But really, I was thinking about those Lisa Frank binders the other day and what was up with the themes? There were dolphins on spaceships and panda bears on rainbows, just crazy stuff, but they were so fun. That's what I always think of when it comes to back to school. But what you're probably thinking of when it comes to back to school is, what am I going to do this year? Help! So I've got 2 freebies that you absolutely have to download. So the first one is a 30, 60, 90-day plan, and I give you a checklist of what you can do during your first 30, 60, and 90 days as a school counselor. This is a great way to break down that seemingly overwhelming to-do list that you have. So to snag that one, go to bit.ly/306090counseling. Again, bit.ly/306090counseling. And the other freebie I have, y'all, I'm so pumped for this one. If you haven't downloaded these lesson plans yet, you absolutely have to. I have for you a free year-long curriculum map telling you when to do and what to do every single month across every single tier. So these are lesson plans for elementary school counselors. I have in there what class lesson, what small group, what individual activity, and which data tool to use and when to use it and how to use it. You're going to love these. Again, they're free counseling lesson plans for you guys. Go to bit.ly/counseling lesson plans to download those. It's bit.ly/counseling lesson plans. Okay, guys, I'm also going to throw the links in the show notes to make it a little easier for you. I hope you love these freebies and they make your school year so much fun. All right, back to the podcast. Hey there, you're listening to another episode of School Counseling Simplified. So this week we're going to continue talking about scheduling class lessons, specifically about how to get teacher buy-in when it comes to scheduling class lessons. Now this may be something that you didn't even know you needed, maybe something you already have, or maybe something you need help with. Either way, I think you're going to find this lesson super helpful in communicating to teachers what you offer and how it can be helpful to them. Again, everything I'm talking about in this episode is part of only one of the 5 modules of my Stress-Free Class Lessons course. So I really encourage you to check that out if you are looking to learn more about class lessons. The course covers so much more than scheduling. Like I said, this is just a sneak peek of one of the modules, but the course goes into way more about how to implement those lessons, how to manage behaviors, how to gather data, all the things. So if you're interested in that, go to stressfreeschoolcounseling.com/class lessons to check it out. And if you're like, what's a course? What does that even look like? It's basically a video you watch of me teaching you, and then there's screencasts showing you how to do everything, and there's included resources as well. Or if you're interested in Impact, which is my membership for school counselors, if you join at the annual rate, you get the course for free. You get both my courses actually included if you join Impact Annual. So if you're interested in Impact, that's what I totally recommend. If you do Impact Annual, you literally get everything. It's the best. But it's stressfreeschoolcounseling.com/impact. All right, let me know if you have any questions. I know some of the URLs sound the same. So let me know if you have any questions, and I hope you find this episode on getting teacher buy-in for scheduling your class lessons helpful. Okay, let's check it out. Welcome to Lesson 3. In this lesson, I'll be showing you how to get teacher buy-in and support for your counseling lessons. So like I said, Lesson 3 is all about how to get teacher buy-in. Now, in this lesson, you're going to learn how to advocate for your counseling lessons, how to collaborate with teachers on lesson planning, and how to ensure that all students receive counseling lessons. Now, there's 3 ways for you to get teacher buy-in. First up, share the why behind your counseling lessons. Next, trust the experts, get teacher input. And lastly, have a backup plan, just in case. So first up, I want you to share the why. So it's important that our teachers are on board and that they know why we're coming into their classrooms. Oftentimes they may be thinking oh, this is taking away from my instructional time. This is just a waste of time. The kids are so hard to refocus after the counselor comes. So we really want to share the importance of this. So you can share some stats or even previous data about how classroom counseling lessons are beneficial to your students. So if you're a returning counselor, maybe you have some data from last year on how, some stats at your school have improved as a result of your counseling lessons. That's amazing, and you can definitely share that. If you're a new counselor or if you don't have that data, no worries. You can still reference some general stats provided by ASCA or something like Maslow's hierarchy of school needs to show the importance for these lessons. So you may be familiar with Maslow's hierarchy of needs, but I found this one, it takes Maslow's hierarchy of needs and then makes it specific for school. So in the gray text, there's the typical hierarchy of needs, and in the blue text, it's kind of in the school setting. So as we can see, we all know the basic level there is the physiological level. Kids need to have their basic needs met of, shelter, food, sleep, clean clothing, all of those things before they can be expected to learn, right? But learning comes in at the top there, that self-actualization piece. That's when the student is available to learn. But we come in as counselors all the way down. If you look at safety, access to school counselors is listed there. So we're like one of their second tiers on the hierarchy of needs. So that means that before they can even get close to being available to learn, they need to know that they're safe and they have school counselors to support them. Then they need to feel belonging and esteem, which are also things that we can teach them through our classroom counseling lessons. So basically, you can share with teachers how the social emotional learning is a predecessor to the academic learning. And lots of teachers already know this information and are on board. We just need to relay it in terms of our class counseling lessons. Now, you can also share your plan for the school year and which topics you'll be covering. So this way, teachers can get a big picture idea of what you're offering to them. So, get excited, share with them, oh, this month I'm going to be teaching about self-control because I know it's back to school and the kids, after summer break, they need a reminder on this lesson. Or on this month, we always see a lot of conflicts come up between friends, so I'm going to do a conflict resolution and friendship lesson. So let them know that you have a clear plan and a clear vision and that you're not just coming in randomly to teach random things. Now, a bonus tip you can do is you can post your lesson topics on a bulletin board or a school website to get parents invested too. So this is a great way just to, kind of promote your program and to show what you're doing. So you can say, hey, look at these class lessons we're offering this semester, or look at the class lessons we're offering for this school year. And of course, things change and you may need to tweak them, but it's just really cool to remind people that you are delivering these lessons monthly or bi-monthly or whatever, and then what topics are going to be covered. So remember, we want to share our why because clarity and communication build confidence and trust. The more clear and communicative you are about your class lessons, the more likely the teachers are going to trust you and have confidence in your ability to teach these class lessons, and then they're going to see the importance of them and want you to come into their classroom and help their students. Now, the second way you can get teacher buy-in is by getting teacher input. So people like to be asked about their own opinions on things in order to be invested in them. So ask teachers what they want the lessons to be about. You can do this by sending out a needs assessment or a survey. Now, I have a template for you and I'll show you how to use that needs assessment so you can set one up yourself. But the needs assessment or survey is a place where the teachers can go in and they can share what they think their class needs or what they think the school needs. Listen, a lot of times the teachers have more of a pulse on what the kiddos need than you do. Because while you're really close with the kids you see in individual and group settings, you don't know every single student like they do. They're with these kids day in and day out, and they likely know what the needs are. So they're the perfect person to ask. So find out what topics they want to see. Maybe they loved this lesson from last year. Maybe they didn't like this lesson from last year. These are the questions we want to ask and figure out the answers to. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to create a school counseling needs assessment. Now, we have this template for you inside the resource library, so you can just go in and simply make a copy and edit it to fit your needs. But I'll also show you how to maneuver the form in case you want to make one from scratch or how to edit that one as well. Now, remember, a needs assessment is a survey we're sending out to teachers to find out what areas they think that our school needs the most so we can focus our classroom lessons on those. So this is mine. You can obviously customize it. If you click this little palette, you can change the color or the picture. You could do your school logo, whatever you want to do. And it just says, to what degree would you like the following topics to be covered in classroom counseling lessons? You can always edit this as well. I like to always have the teacher name and email and grade level here. This way we could have, I use these as required ones. That way if I want to follow up with them or contact them regarding their answers, I can easily do so. And the grade levels are helpful because the 5th grade teachers might all see a different need than the 1st grade teachers. So that's important to know. And then as you can see, I have some different categories here. So, social skills, anger management, self-esteem, friendship, bullying, conflict resolution, college career awareness, just a variety of different topics that I want to know how they think the area of need is. Is this not needed at all? Is this a high need? They'll see what they think. And then I have a space for additional comments, so they can maybe give some feedback there on a lesson, like the topic I didn't mention, or maybe a lesson they loved last year or a lesson they didn't love last year. I love to have that section there as well. Now, to send this out, you're going to click the send button and you can grab a link. I like to shorten the URL. You'll simply copy that, and then you can send it into an email to teachers saying, hey, please fill out this needs assessment so I can decide what to plan my class lessons around this year. I would, love and appreciate your feedback. Keep it pretty short and simple. You don't want too many questions on there or too many topics because we don't want them to get overwhelmed. We do want them to answer it. So now I'll show you what it looks like from the user end. So if you received this link, they would get a link to the form, and then they're going to complete it. I'll just say I teach 3rd grade, or they could maybe write like counselor or something, or well, you're the counselor, but they could write like a specialist, maybe they're a speech language pathologist or something. And then they're going to go through and answer these questions. Okay, and additional comments. I loved the cyber safety lesson from last year, something like that. Submit. Okay, then let's submit another response. This time, let's have it as a different person. And then we'll see how they answer their questions. High need. And these aren't required, so maybe they skip some altogether. They could do that as well. Okay, so there we go. So now 2 people have submitted them. So if you go back to your form, you're going to now see 2 responses. Click there, and you can see a summary of the responses. Now, I love the summary because it provides some really cool graphs, and then you can simply hit copy, and you can copy the whole chart and then use it wherever you want to keep your data. So like I said, Google makes it super simple. But we can see here that these are different. They're kind of split 50-50. I don't know if any of them were the same. Here we go, bullying. Both ranked it as a 4 out of 5. And the rest they kind of had differing opinions on. You can also look at this as at the question level, so to see how the responses were per each question. Or you can look at it on the individual level, so you can go through and just basically see their form again. I think the summary level is the best one. It's the best one to look at to get the results of a group. You can also click this button and it will create a spreadsheet. And then as new responses come in, the spreadsheet automatically updates. But this is another cool way to organize everything. And it also does a timestamp, which I always like. So it's showing you like when it was submitted. And then you have that contact info for them and then how they ranked everything. I'm more visual, so I kind of like the summary version, but I really like having the spreadsheet version as well. Okay guys, I hope you found that needs assessment helpful. Like I said, we have a template for you, so you can go in and create your own needs assessment. You can use ours straight up as it is, or you can edit the questions a little bit and send this out to your teacher so you know how to plan your class lessons. Now, something else you can do, kind of a bonus idea, is that you can offer as needed class lessons. This shows the teachers that you value their class's specific needs. Based on the needs assessment results, let's say that Ms. Miller really wants a lesson on cyber safety, but you're looking at your calendar for the year and you didn't really have cyber safety, as a high need from the rest of the data you collected on your needs assessment. You weren't really planning on teaching a lesson on this, so it's not going to make the cut for, you only get like 10 lessons a year, right? But you can say, hey, Ms. Miller, I saw that you were really interested in this topic. I'm happy to do a lesson just for your class because I see that's a high need that your class has. So you can do these as needed lessons. I think it goes a long way. The teachers really appreciate it, and then you're filling a need as well. And lastly, in order to get teacher buy-in, have a backup plan. So unfortunately, not all teachers are going to be on board, and that's okay. You might need to bring in stronger reinforcements to back you up, such as your administrator or some Ask Us stats. So I've included some Ask Us stats for you guys in the resource library. have these handy. They discuss the role of the counselor, why you're supposed to be doing class lessons. So I wanted to do a kind of a zoom in on this ASCA form I was referring to when we're discussing the role of the school counselor and how you can use this to get teacher buy-in. So it tells you, who are school counselors, what we do, how we help students, ideal caseload. It has a lot of information here about the school counselor's role, all of this which is helpful. But if you were only going to pick out a few points to highlight, I think up here, the school counselors can help all students. This is a super important place to start because that's what we're telling them. Like, we're here to help all students, not just students who are referred to us. So it says here, school counselors help all students by applying academic achievement strategies, which you can help them do through your lessons, to manage emotions and apply interpersonal skills. That's basically all of our lessons right there, like our emotional recognition, social skills, everything. And then plan for post-secondary options. So that we could even do even with the littlest students. You can do a class lesson on getting, college and career ready, career awareness, things like that. So just pointing out those 3 things are great. Then if you look down here about appropriate duties, you can see the second one here says school counseling classroom lessons based on student success standards. So right there, it's saying what we should be doing. So those were the points I would want to highlight if you were sharing this with teachers. And, be flexible and get creative, because it's your responsibility to deliver counseling lessons to all students. That's what it means, right? Our tier 1 responsibility is that every single student in the school is receiving this class lesson. So let me tell you a story about what has happened to me in the past. And that's when I was teaching at the international school, K-12. I had a high school teacher who was just really resistant to me coming in for the class lessons. He didn't really see the value of the counseling. He had been there a while. He was just crotchety old man. He actually surfed with my husband and they ended up being friends. But in a professional relationship, we kind of butted heads. So he didn't really see the value of my lessons. He didn't want me to come in. I knew that I needed to reach these kiddos. So I had to get creative. I had asked him a couple times, shared the why, asked for his input. Still nothing's working. This is why I had to have a backup plan. And my backup plan was, because it was high school and the kids were switching classes, I was going to see these students at a different time. So when they were with a different teacher, I have one of my best friends as a teacher, and I was like, hey, can I come in? I know I'm already teaching your first period class, but can I teach your 4th period class the lesson as well? That teacher was really supportive of the counseling program and cool with it, so I got to see those students in a different classroom. Now, that worked at my school. I know scheduling obviously is very different at every school, but it's just an example of how you can get creative, and it's your responsibility to see those students. You can't say, oh, well, the teacher never got back to me on the schedule, so I guess those 30 kids or 60 kids just aren't going to get the class lesson. No, we need to make sure we find a way for those kiddos to get it. So you need to follow up with the teachers if they don't schedule. You need to get creative. I hope you guys found that helpful in getting teacher support and buy-in. Now you've learned how you can advocate for your counseling lessons by showing your why and the need for them, how to collaborate with the teachers to get their input on lesson planning, and finally, how you can ensure that all students are receiving counseling lessons. Now, I have 3 action items for you. First, I want you to gather previous data to show the need for counseling lessons. So if you have some, gather it up and get it ready to go. Then I want you to create a needs assessment for teachers so we can ask them what lessons they want to see. Use the template I've provided you. And lastly, I want you to have a backup plan ready and print out that Ask infographic just in case you're going to need it.
Thanks for listening to School Counseling Simplified. You can find the links from today's episode in the show notes. If you'd like to connect with Rachel, she's on Instagram and Teachers Pay Teachers at Bright Futures Counseling. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss any episodes of School Counseling Simplified. Talk to you next week.